For those of you who are fairly young, that song is called Mammy. I asked John to play that. That was my grandmother's favorite song. I'd walk a million miles for one of your smiles, Mammy. Ah, Mammy! Al Jolson, that was the first talking movie, and he sang that song to his mother. Charlie remembers it, don't you, Charlie? Yeah. I remember it. So anyway, so this is Mother's Day, and I really love Mother's Day. I was talking to my prayer partner this morning, and he had quite an amazing Sunday last week because this young woman and her fiance were skydiving, and he was videotaping it, and they didn't put the harness on, and she slipped out of the harness and fell to her death. And he had to do the memorial last Sunday. And then he did. And he said, boy, was that a heavy, a lot of emotion. And then on Monday, he had to do a funeral for a native Chinese, third-generation Chinese in Vancouver. He says they must have come over and built the railroads in Canada, married to one of the Aboriginal people from that area. And their one request is, whatever you do, don't use the word God in the service. And then on Tuesday, he had a Ukrainian woman who was 98 years old and who was raised Catholic, and he said it was a slam dunk. But he said what was so interesting about the young woman's funeral was, what do you say? You know, what do you say? Because there's so much grief. And he reflected on Dr. Ernest Holmes, who was struggling at one stage what to say at a memorial service. So his brother Fenwick, who was a congregational minister, gave him the congregational book on how to do funerals. And he read the whole book and said, there's nothing in here I could use. So then he went in to himself and he asked the question, what would a mother want to hear if her child has died? And he said, what she would want to hear is that she's still here, that she's still alive. She may not be here in form, but her spirit is still here. And so then he used this beautiful awareness that in science they teach that energy cannot be created or destroyed, that it only changes form. And so what if that form that was the daughter changed form, and as Ernest Holmes would say, she's merely in another dimension looking out of another window down at all of us. So if your mother is not here in form, perhaps she's looking out a window down at us, for some of us who have lost their mothers in form. And if she's still here, you're very blessed to have her. Thich Nhat Hanh tells the wonderful story of on Mother's Day, they would hand out carnations, and to all of you who have mothers. And if your mother is still alive, you would take a red carnation. And if your mother is no longer with us here on the planet, you would take a white carnation. But nonetheless, that beautiful presence that we call Mother is always, always, always here. And it is an energy, and you are all the Mother, all of you. I learned that years ago, whoever you are, because there's only one here. So I am the mother as well. Some of you are my children. Shame on you. And you know, I was talking earlier to Pam Hurdy, and she said all parents want to protect their children from having to suffer. But you know that when we go through those growth experiences, those are the things that make our soul really tough. So there's the irony, that we're meant to fall so we can pick ourselves up and develop that scar tissue, which gives us that, ability to deal with life. So that's this thing called life. And we're all here in it together to support one another as we unfold ourselves. John played that tune for me, and I thought as I was sitting here and I was reflecting on Mother, and my mother who's no longer here in form, a song that came to my mind was I'll Be Seeing You in all the old familiar places. Yeah, so the heart kind of gets open, doesn't it, when you think about your mother? Yeah, and if you still have her here, cherish her, cherish her. Even if she wasn't the mother that you thought was the perfect mother. Let me tell you my favorite Gangaji story, because it's Mother's Day, and She said, it was Mother's Day and her mother was still alive, and so she said, I called my mother and I said to her, she's from Jackson, Mississippi. She says, hi Mom, I just wanted to call and say wish you happy Mother's Day and tell you what a great mom you were. She said, of course I was a great mom. She said she was a horrible mom. But in her mind, she was a great mom. And she said, all those years that I had been holding on to this idea that she was a lousy mom, you know, projecting all of her judgment on me, she said in her mind, she was the best mom that she knew how to be. And the only problem existed in my mind about her. And in that one phrase, in that lie, saying you were a great mom, I set myself free of all that stuff that I was telling myself about her. Wow. So whatever mom you had, she was the perfect mom for you. And she did the best she could with the skills that she had when she was doing whatever she did. And had she not been the mother she was, you wouldn't be the person that you are. You know, whatever that means to you. I was at a salon years ago, and there was this man, he was in his 80s, and he said, I've been through quite a life. He said, my wife made her transition last year, and he said, we took care of her mother, and he said, I felt honored to take care of my wife, and my mother, and even my son, who's made his transition. He says, the one person that I have never been able to forgive is my mother. Because she gave me up for adoption when I was 5 years old. How could she have done that to me? Here he's in his 80s. And this well-meaning friend said she must have loved you so much to have let go of you. And that must have been the most painful thing for her. And in that moment, just like with Gandhi, he was able to let go of 75 years of kvetching. So I don't know if you've been kvetching around Mom, but it's time to stop. And to just open your heart, and to maybe place her in there, and to feel her presence. I was looking at Barbara Riggs, and I met her beautiful mother. She was from Germany, and she used to call her Barbara, Barbara, you know, sweetest little thing on the planet. And she told how she fled Germany with these two little girls. What a courageous mother that was. You know, they're amazing human beings. And if you're a male mother, like I am, and you have dogs and cats and plants, they also require the nurturing and the tenderness and the ability to set them free, to be what they are. Did anybody see the cover of Time magazine?
Yeah.
I'm not going to describe it, but it's all about a new way of raising your children. It's called attachment parenting. And how the new model is to really be very intimate with your children so that they can grow up and know that they're loved. And I think it's kind of nice to see that approach, because I was raised in the Dr. Spock era when they said, let the kid cry in its crib and it'll get over it. Now the model is saying, if they cry, pick it up. So what if we, as mothers of this 21st century, could love our children right where they are, and if they're crying, pick them up and kiss the boo-boo and make it better. Because I learned that from my grandmother. She would kiss the boo-boo and make it better, and it always worked. It always worked. You know, it wasn't some pill that she gave me, it was a little kiss on the forehead when I'd fallen down that would let me know that I was loved and all is well in my world. So as we open to an opening treatment, maybe that's all we ever do, is just, you know, Ernest Holmes said, what a practitioner does is they love the client back to their center. All they do is just love them. And their center is where they know that they're peaceful and whole, just where they are, that they don't need anything external to know that. So what if we're here just to love them? And that's what a practitioner does on a good day, is just loves them. Just loves them and holds them in the light and lifts them out of their pity party into the truth of their being. No, my life sucks. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Well, if you choose to stay there, then okay, I'll let you stay there. But I'm going to know the truth for you even when you want to identify with that. So that's kind of what prayer is. It's so wonderful to